How's it going, folks? My name is Broken Binky, your coach of the Houston Dracos, and today we have a bit of an interesting video here. Just a few days ago, the first season of the Squirtle Premier League, also known as the SPL, just wrapped up, and I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on the whole season, just give kind of a whole season retrospective. Just go through all my battles, especially because I know for a lot of the coaches in this league, Draft League in general was a very new experience, so maybe this can be kind of like a guide of like what I like to do in draft, and maybe you guys can apply it in your own gameplay. I know season 2 is starting up already, so yeah. Just before we get into the games itself, I already have the first game loaded up. Just want to quickly talk about this team. So this is the team that I drafted once drafting was done. So yeah, I mean, this team, it was pretty strong. I tried to go with like a few themes because, okay, I first joined the server because my good friend YokoPoke wanted to do a draft league. They'd never done one before. So I was like, hey, why not? I'll help out our friend. So they got in the league and they were like, Pinky, you got to join with me. And I was like, fine. So I joined as well, alongside Poke. And I figured the skill level would be fairly low. So I thought I could try to do fun gimmicks in the draft. So I initially tried to do like randomized letters of an alphabet and pick Pokemon from that, or randomized colors and pick from that. And eventually, around 6 or 7 rounds in, I realized that it wasn't fun. And at the end of the day, I did this hobby to have fun. So unfortunately, I already had kind of a bad start to my team. I tried to recover by the end, but this was the team that I ended up with. It definitely has some problems. And I tried to fix those later in the season, and I didn't do a great job at that, to be honest. But regardless, I kind of got punished for my own hubris in a sense. But this is the team I had. I guess I'll probably like briefly talk about these Pokemon toward the end. But there are definitely some standouts, some great Pokemon that stayed to the end. Some good guys I had to drop, unfortunately, and some stinkers that rarely left the Pokeball. So yeah, this is the draft I had. I do want to say first and foremost, the 4 stars that I had from the beginning were definitely Ogerpon, Wellspring, Pheasantipity, Flygon, and Avila Hisui. Those 4 were amazing. They are going to be amazing throughout the entirety of the season, as we're about to see. But yeah, this is the team I had. I'll also link my draft guide that I typically adhere to in the description of this video. Just because I think it's a good guide. I talk about some of the teams I use in this league as well. Some of the teams I fight. But it's just generally a good outline of things I like to check out for building a team. This was a team that I talked about as being like, it looks good, but you try to use it and it's not super duper fun. And then the other team that I switched to that I used, in the second half of the season was much better. So with that little aside out of the way, here's the team I have. You're going to be seeing this for 5 weeks, or for 5 games. And we're in the first game already versus YokoPoke, who is the friend that I wanted to help win their first time in the league, and I'm already fighting them week 1. That wasn't fun. Poke had a Sun Draft with Ninetales and Venusaur with the Roaring Moon, and I was very worried about the Venusaur. I'm not going to talk too much about the matchups, by the way, just stuff I remember. But this was a while ago, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, April 8th, 2024. And I'm recording this on June the 24th. So it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. But yeah, I was very worried about Venusaur. My big game plan here was Scar Flygon, because I knew Poke didn't have great answers to ground type moves, and in general Scar Flygon's really good. And yeah, that was kind of it. So not seeing Venusaur was very nice. I definitely enjoyed that a lot. No Colossal was also nice, but yeah, let's just get right into the battle. Don't really know how it's gonna go, but yeah, Battle of the Boys. My boy Beal joins in. Also, one last mention before we get into this, I gotta say, shout out to the builders. I have a front office that helps me build with all my games. Beal is definitely the most active member of that, but people like even Poke, and then also Adam, Josh, Rat, and Coconut helped a fair bit throughout the season as well. So shout out to the homies, of course. So yeah, I'm just gonna let the battle play. Turn 1, I just click Ivy Cudgel. Or no, I click Power Whip because I'm a demon and I do half. Seeing Booster pop on both these guys immediately was pretty good for me. because two of the Pokemon effectively don't have an item. Switching in Avalugg was kind of risky there, but it worked out. And what was nice is that this Flygon completely walls the Sandy Shocks. So that was a big thing that I was excited about in this game. And of course, locking into Earthquake with Choice Scarf Flygon, it's not all that fun with the Flamigo on the other side. So my big thing, because I hadn't used this team before, any of these Pokemon really, was finding a good opportunity to Terrasilize Avalugg, because without Terra, that type is dog shit. That type is dog shit, but when I Terra Fairy, all of a sudden I can check Roaring Moon, I can check the Flamigo, and I can be fine. This Deoxys actually ended up being quite a pain. Iron Defense, Psychic, Focus Blast, very cool set, but I'm able to spin away the rocks, which is nice. I bring in my Bolt. I believe this was a Solvus' Bolt. Oh yeah, for sure. And a Dragon Pulse. So yeah, that's a nice little 3-shot. And Dragon Pulse is completely free because the Steel resists Goldango, which this thing is designed to 1v1 anyway. So yeah, I'm like, these freaking crits, dude. I guess right there was a bit of a mistake. Clicking Psychic instead of clicking Recover, because that let me Volt Switch out to bring in my Cassandra, the Ogerpon, to get her first kill of the season. Many of these games start off with Ogerpon getting a kill, by the way. I'm just going to let you know that. Bring in Pheasantipity on the Roaring Moon. I'm pretty sure at this point I'm trying to sack off Pheasantipity because it's not good into any of these Pokemon right now. It was pretty much here only for the Venusaur, and the Venusaur didn't come. So, with that gone, I'm just trying to sack it off whenever I can. So yeah, I bring in the Bolt. Aloe is a really key Pokemon for Poke here, and it does not have a good matchup here because it's walled by Tim Bolden and it's walled by Cassandra. So, very, very good. Also, something I should point out is I like to make a lot of safe plays. I don't like to overthink things very much. I just like to attack where they can't defend. So, like, yeah, I could have clicked Thunderbolt in front of the Alomomola. I could have killed it. But instead I wanted to go for Dragon Pulse because it still does 60% of the Mola. And it can catch the Sandy Shocks that comes in and does like 70%. Might even kill it. So, in general, you're going to see a lot of safe plays. Low risk but medium reward. That's typically the way that I like to play. It's just, I don't want to expose myself to too much bullshit. So I just kind of want to click safe buttons, and there it works out for me. I take 8%. Again, I'm trying to sack out the Pheasantipity, but Poke keeps clicking U-turn. A bit of an example where clicking U-turn too much is not the best. And I actually live this, and I get a slow U-turn off of my own Pheasantipity. And that's an example where U-turn's great. So yeah, now I click, I believe, Volt Switch. Yeah. Just to get some nice chip. Bring in the Ogerpon one more time. I think I go for the knockoff. Yeah, just a simple play. Again, I could have predicted Roaring Moon to come in and gone for like Play Rough, I think I had. But then I wouldn't have done much damage to the Goldango if it stayed in. So it's just about the risk reward. I knew I could probably manage the Roaring Moon. I knew more about the Roaring Moon than I did about the Goldango. So I was fine with just kind of letting it happen. Because also I have a guaranteed counter Roaring Moon in the Avalugg. So like I'm not worried about Roaring Moon. Goldango can be scary with Focus Blast, but Roaring Moon, I'm not worried. U-turn finally kills off the Divinity Toilet I've been trying to sack all game. To bring in Samba. And I just bring in my Suin Avalugg just to get a recover off. And I do exactly that. I think here I just... Oh, I go Gambit on the Make It Rain. Here I go for a crazy play. I think I am Choppleberry, but I'm pretty sure I still die to Focus Blast from here. But I see the recover. I expected it to not... Like, it could have been 4 attacks. I think I was expecting a swap out, or maybe I just expected it to be recover last. I don't really remember, because again, this was 2.5 months ago. Either way, I clicked Kowtow Cleave and it worked out. So Gambit picks up a kill. It works out. Here comes the Samba. I go for the Sucker Punch, and the U-turn again. So yeah, a few times where my boy could have just hit what was in front of him, and it would have worked out. But now I just get to bring my Flygon. I click the U-turn, I get the kill on the Roaring Moon. Reveal that I am in fact Choice Scarf. And at this point, I just got to sack off the Raging Bolt. I go for the Thunderclap, just to force the Terra. And I do exactly that. And at this point, Scarf Flygon, clicks 2 more Earthquakes. And it's going to get the pick on both of those. So yeah, I think my philosophy when building and playing is to just try and set the pace of the game whenever I can. I was on the gas for most of this game. The only really point where I wasn't, let's see if I can find it, was when I was Avalog in front of the Deoxys. Like right here, this is a terrible spot for me. But as soon as I realize it's a bad spot, I get rid of the rocks, because that's my priority here. Go to my Tim Bolton, and I just try and beat this thing down, because this thing was a threat. This thing definitely could have done big damage to me. I didn't have great special attacks at all. I would have had to kind of pray for a Toxic with my Pheasant Dippity. But it worked out. And again, just that little bit of misplay from Poke that allowed me to go into Ogerpon. And even with the +2 knockoff, was able to get the kill. So, good job, Ogerpon. Good job to all my guys. Except for, I mean, even Pheasant Dippity put in work, even though it kind of just died and did nothing. But yeah, that was my week 1. Not too much to talk about there. Let's move on to week 2. This was versus Pollux, I think was the name. Yeah, it's right there. I'm super dumb. This was one of my favorites. So there's the Bronzong. Don't get used to seeing Bronzong. It's not going to come again. And there's an Umbreon as well. So one thing you might notice is that there's an Umbreon on my side and there's an Iron Valiant on the opposing side. Is this guy stupid? Maybe. Also, this is before I put Miku as my avatar. Do I have any Miku avatars? There we go. Okay, we have Miku avatars. Good. Oh, sad music plays? No, you have to save it for the next one. Whatever. I'm just going off of a random Pokemon playlist. God, this video's a mess. Anyway, why is there an Umbreon versus an Iron Valiant? Well, you will see in just a little bit. I lead Ogerpon. In general, this is another thing. I like having dedicated leads. Most of these games, my dedicated lead is Ogerpon, just because it offers either knockoff utility to get rid of opposing items, U-turn for momentum, or big ass hits with Ivy Cudgel. Gives me those 3 things, and those are 3 really good things to have. And it's bulky enough to live most hits. Its weaknesses aren't that common. It's weak to flying, bug, poison, and freeze dry. Not common at all, especially from the lead slot. And it's faster than a lot of stuff, and it can tank a hit from most stuff. So yeah, it pretty much checks all the boxes. I like having a dedicated lead, and in most of those games, it is Ogerpon. Later on, you're going to see some other leads mixed in. But Ogerpon was a great dedicated lead. I think it was a big aspect of my success, just streamlining the gameplay as much as possible and trying not to overthink it. Just knowing what is strong and what is going to work. So yeah, in that vein, I tank the Thunderbolt, go for the Ivy Cudgel, drop the Jolteon immediately. That's a great start. Goodra comes in. I could have gone for the superpower, but I decided to just go into Bronzong. That does nothing. Flamethrower comes out. It doesn't do that much. I go for the Stealth Rock. And I bring in the Umbreon. And now the fun begins. Because I click Calm Mind. And you're going to see I'm not leftovers. And that's for a very good reason. And you will see very, very shortly. So I'm +2 Umbreon. I think at this point I click Moonlight. Nope, I just Calm Mind again. I am a little demon. Wow. Why did I do that? Here comes the Val. Big bad Val. Moonlight up. And it clicks Drain Punch, and I take 35% because of Chople Berry. Fun fact, that's Choice Banded Valiant to be doing that much with Drain Punch. Why was Drain Punch not close combat? I don't really know. But it was Choice Banded Drain Punch Valiant, and it did 35% to Umbreon. And Umbreon gets Psychic, and it just drops the Valiant. So we are turn 9. The biggest threat is gone. And now it's just these 4 goobers. And fun fact about these 4 guys, they don't have a good way to hit Umbreon. So here comes the Slowking. I go for the Dark Pulse. I get the 20% flinch. This is a flinch that Pollux will continue to complain about for a while. Truthfully, I don't think it impacted the outcome of the game. I think from this point, I won. I'm going to be honest. I think at this point of the game, I've already established that I won the game. Because I'm 6 mons up against 4. Iron Valiant is gone. Everything else is slow as hell. It turns out this turn he clicked Trick Room, which is a good play. I mean, it's cool tech. But you have Momentum Sync Goodra, which every time it comes in, I get a Pokemon in for free. And it really doesn't threaten much. Arboliva, as it turns out, can't really touch Talonflame that hard. Not that it would be likely to anyway. So, regardless, even if Trick Room goes up, Umbreon's getting a kill in this exchange, and that leaves with 3, and the 3 options are not right. So, Flinch sucks for sure. I don't think it impacted the course of the match. But I get the kill. Another Dark Pulse. Again, it's 20%. It's Pokemon. I go for another Calm Mind. At this point, I see the Arboliva, and I'm like, okay, I can just set up. So let's just fast forward for a lot of stalling. I get the +6. Start clicking Dark Pulse. It does 64%. It heals up a shit ton because Arboliva is annoying. Here comes the Goodra. And I just spam Dark Pulse. I get another Flinch, which is nice. But Goodra is doing like 3% to me for attack because I am +5 in special defense. It did 7% with Flash Cannon. I don't think that Flinch versus the Goodra mattered. I don't think that's that controversial of a statement. Draco Meteor comes out, does 10%. Draco Meteor does 10%. Because Umbreon's a fucking beast. I love Umbreon. This league really made me love Umbreon, even though I didn't bring it that much. Great Pokemon. I just had other Pokemon that were better in most of the games. At this point, I think Pollux accepts that he lost, which is a valid thing to accept. Because, again, look at the game state. It is 6 against 2. So, Terra Fairy on the Glastrier takes 33% even in spite that. Icicle Crash comes out. It is Life Orb Icicle Crash, and with the Leech Seed, it is enough to kill me. Which, oh no. But I just bring in Specs and Amorous. There's 1. And there's 2. Well, it's going to be 2 very shortly. Hey, at least you landed the Leech Seed, bro. But yeah, very dominant game for sure. Very scary matchup. I remember Pollux had some other threats. But the big thing I was scared of was Iron Valiant. So that Umbreon set was nice. It was very precisely EV'd as well. And I had some other cool stuff in the back. I had dual screens, Light Clay, Bronzong. That's why I wasn't leftovers. But didn't really get to show it because Umbreon kind of just put on a show. Got 5 kills. Or not 4 kills, which... Was it 4 kills? Am I dumb? It killed the Val. It killed the Good. No, it got 3. It got 3. I'm dumb. But yeah, great performance overall. I'm riding high. 2-0 +8 differential. I'm feeling great. On to week 3. This is where I get pissed off a little bit. This is where I get pissed off a lot bit. I am up against Krampe. Krampe had a pretty scary team. Very much Veil offense. But I was pretty confident I'd be able to weather the storm a little bit. To be honest, Garchomp and Scizor are not Pokemon that I respect all that much, especially when I have a Sui and Avalugg. Iron Boulder is also dealt with by that. So I thought, I'd be fine. Ninetales can't really touch King Gambit. I have some good bulk, all that kind of stuff. Should be fine, right? Should be fine. Lead Electrode is very annoying. So I just switched into this. Iron Boulder comes in. Scary. I go hard Avalugg and Sui because I think going for close combat there is a demon play. And I realize I'm Terra Fairy and not Terra Water. Which sucks. I was meant to be Terra Water. I was not Terra Water. Why is that bad? Because I have Terra Blast on this thing. From this range, Terra Blast Water kills. Unfortunately, Terra Blast Fairy does not. And Avalanche does no damage because it's a bad move. And I'm running Avalanche because I'm stupid. So now I have to play the Kingambit game. Here, we'll just go back a little bit. Yeah, if I'm Terra Blast Water, that straight up kills. I had attack investment to kill it from there, specifically. So I was very mad that didn't work out. Setting up Stealth Rock there was a stupid play, I'm not going to lie, but I was very upset that I used the wrong Terra. And having Avalugg gone this early versus these two, not fun. So I had to play the Kingambit game of when will they sub and when will they not. I get the first one right, thank God. Otherwise would have lost on the spot, and I got the Sucker Punch the next turn. So thank God, I got it. I get the attack boost from the Incineroar. I go for the Brick Break. Does nice damage. So Kingambit's going to get another kill, but it's going to go down pretty soon. Here comes the Electric Desui. I think I click Sucker. Yeah, still does 50%. Insane damage. So Kingambit gets 2.5. Very good performance from Kingambit. But here comes Bandit Scizor, and my mana answer's gone, so I have to use Talonflame. I do get the kill with Flamethrower, which is really nice. Now Electric comes back in. It is slowly getting chipped down. But my main answer is Fessendipity. Clicks T-Bolt. It's whatever. Clicks T-Bolt again, and gets the Para. I get the U-turn. I get the Toxic Chain, which is nice. But yeah, I should have clicked Roost, but that T-Bolt Para is very annoying, as you will see. Electro dies the next turn. It's forced to Leaf Storm, so Ogerpon is going to get that kill. So now it's 4 against 2. I'm still feeling pretty good. Ninetales comes in. Goes to the Blizzard, gets my Ogerpon. Whatever. I'm like, I can still do this. Talonflame should outspeed. Should be fine. Scarf Ninetales, and he gets the freeze on me immediately. I'm like, fuck. So, that sucks. I didn't see Scarf Ninetales coming at all. I didn't think there was a world that would come, to be completely honest, because I had Kingambit. But that was very naive of me, in hindsight. Because versus this draft, Scarf Ninetales kind of goes in. And I should have brought Bronzong for that. But I didn't really anticipate it coming. So that sucks. And the freeze double sucks. Because Flamethrower would have done so much to this thing. But yeah. Whatever. I just have to beat it with this thing. And I'm second Para. And that ends the game. The game is over. At this point, the game is over. I bring in this thing, but Krampe is another 70% Blizzard, and it's going to kill me. Turns out it was AV Chomp, so it would have actually lived a hit from, I think I was Scarf and Amorous. So yeah, having an Amorous as my Scarfer there was not great, because it's slower than Scarf Ninetales. And the bad thing about Ogerpon is it can't hold a Choice Scarf. So pretty much all my Scarfers, unless it brings Scarf Talonflame, was slower than this Ninetales. So great bring from Krampe's part. However, that RNG was fucking bullshit. Unlike the 20% flinch, that was really, really annoying. The freeze, the T-Bolt Para into the freeze into the full Para was so awful. And I still had a route. I could have gotten lucky back. Because at that point, I would have had to rely on, I think, 2 Blizzard misses. And a Stone Edge miss to win the game. Which is not likely by any means, but it's more likely than T-Bolt Para, Blizzard Freeze, no one thaw, stuck in Para. So I was very upset. I didn't play this game particularly well, other than Kingambit, I feel like. Terra Water Avalugg was such a blunder, dude. I'm still so mad about that. If I was Terra Water, I would have killed the stupid boulder. This game taught me to never bring Avalanche again. Stupid move. Only doubles if the other guy attacks you, but like, it was so bad. I was so mad. So I'm 2-1. Whatever. I can't be too mad. I am 2-1. It was a close loss, and I can blame RNG, so I can make myself a little bit happier. Whatever. So next up is up against Chromium. Chromium had a weird team. I'm gonna be honest. This is not a slight. I just want to say also, I'm going to talk about a lot of people. This is not a slight against any of them. This is just the fact that I'm playing against a lot of people in the season. And at the end of the day, this is fucking Pokemon. Okay, this is not about how you are as a person. This is Pokemon. I don't mean to attack anyone. I don't mean to offend anyone. Everyone was wonderful. Everyone was very nice. Love the server. Love the vibe. It was awesome. So if I say like, oh, this person played this turn poorly, in my opinion, that's not a slight at you as a person at all. And if I sound more extreme than that, that's also like not meant to be me being an asshole. That's just kind of how I talk sometimes, because I'm kind of an aggressive person. But yeah, I don't mean to hurt anyone. I don't mean to offend anyone. I had a fun time. I hope everyone else had a fun time. But yeah, I just want to pass around good vibes and maybe be informational. And if that's at the expense of you and you feel hurt by that, then I'm sorry. But I guess it's my bad. I'll try to improve on that in the future. So, versus Chromium. This is another example of dedicated lead Ogerpon is my plan. So I lead with dedicated lead Ogerpon. You'll notice that Ogerpon is faster than the entire team but Raikou. And that is very, very good. That's good for me. So, this turn 1, I want to talk a little bit more about the safe play and the level-headed play versus the easy play that might get more reward. This Ogerpon is play rough. I think it's like play rough knockoff, IV Cudgel, and maybe like Encore is the last move. I don't remember. Again, April 27th, 2 months ago. Whatever. The important thing is I have knockoff, I have play rough. Play rough versus this thing, versus Walking Wake, I think does about 90% max. Maybe it's like 87%. It's not a kill. So it does more damage. That's cool. But it doesn't kill. But knockoff plus play rough is a kill. Now, why would I click knockoff? Well, the two most common items on Walking Wake are Choice Scarf and Choice Specs. Either of those two items will make Wake win this 1v1, which is not fun. So by clicking knockoff, I either make myself faster if I get rid of his Scarf, or I make it weaker by getting rid of the Specs. So for that reason, I click knockoff this turn. Does 40%, puts it in range of play rough, I get rid of the Specs. Draco Meteor does miss, in fairness. But I was going to live with that Draco Meteor. It did like 90% max, even if it was modest in nature. It would have had to be a crit. And that lets me get the kill in the Wake. So the miss was definitely really nice for me, but I was probably going to win that exchange anyway. Spiritomb comes out next. I'm U-turn, that's my last. Duh. Bring in Umbreon, because Umbreon's just the general answer for this thing. Fun fact, they gave Umbreon Toxic back. I don't know why. This little sack of shit's already toxic enough. I don't know why they give it Toxic, but it lets it be extremely annoying in this game. This is kind of an awkward Spiritomb set, but I'm able to roar it out, which is nice. Landa goes for the U-turn there. Does a lot of damage, to be honest. It kind of hurt my feelings. But I Moonlight up. And I think at this point it's pretty easy to see that Umbreon is going to be a very big nuisance. Raikou comes in. I go for the beat up here. Fun little tech that Fahadd can run is say that I'm going to poison you 90% of the time and you are going to deal with it. Also, I can't be taunted out of that, and I'm probably breaking your sub. So, cool little Pokemon. I get the Toxic off. I go for the Roost. But at this point, it's kind of like, I just kind of know that I'm going to win this exchange. U-turn out. Bring in, again, Scarf Flygon. Fun fact, you're going to see Flygon a few times in this video. It's only ever going to be Choice Scarf. I go for the U-turn there again. I could have gone for Earthquake, but I expected the Landorus to come in. And I figured if I go into Fezandipity, I would probably be fine. Chromium actually reads this and goes for Extra Sensory, so kudos. That's a great play. Gets 60%, but again, I take 60% of my Fezandipity, but this thing is dead. Fezandipity is here for Florges at this point, which at this HP it is going to beat, because it's faster, it's going to Roost up, and it just hits it with, I think I have Poison Jab, if not Sludge Bomb. So I can definitely hit it. And I can fish for Toxics pretty much all day, as long as it's not like Calm Mind Psychic, or Psyshock. I forget which one it gets. It only gets one of them. But regardless, the easy play is to click Earthquake in front of the Electric type, obviously. But the safer play is to click U-turn so I can keep up my momentum as much as possible. Even if I take 60% of my 60% of HP on my Pokemon for that, it's whatever. And if Landorus did come in, I just U-turn straight into Avalugg, and I click Ice Spinner, and I get a free kill. Essentially. So yeah, Raikou is going to go down to the Toxic. Landorus is going to come back. I think I just go back into Flygon. Yeah, I do. Just in case of the Earthquake. And I'm able to eat that. I go for another U-turn. And I go into Fezandipity. I think at this point I'm trying to sack it. Ends up being Fahadd, which is interesting. Fahadd's going to get the 2 shots then and there. And yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I could have just gone from Flygon into my Rocky Martin, the Avalugg, which now is properly Terra Water, by the way. I did learn my lesson. I didn't want to risk bringing this thing in on an Earthquake. In hindsight, that was a dumb thing to think. Should have just gone straight into it, but Fezandipity wasn't really doing much. It was just beating the Florges, and Florges already was going to lose to King Gambit or Ogerpon, so I wasn't too worried about it. The main thing I was worried about was the Bisharp and the Landorus. And there goes the Landorus. Now it's just the Bisharp. I think I am Strong Jaw Ice Fang, which hits pretty hard for 95% accuracy. Not bad. Here comes the Bisharp. Goes with the Raw Terra Blast, which is a cool play, but unfortunately Bisharp has pretty shit special attack. It is Terra Fairy, and Terra Blast Fairy does less than the non-Terra version because that's a Hisuian Avalugg for you. And I am Heavy Slam to cover all my bases and get the kill there. So 2 kills for Avalugg. And at this point, I go to my King Gambit. And King Gambit kind of just destroys the game from this point. I go for the Iron Head. I get the flinch. Pretty lucky, but I'm pretty sure this wasn't Will-O-Wisp anyway. Yeah, it actually wasn't. So, ultimately, didn't too matter. Just a nice little flinch. But yeah, nice little 5-0 to rebound off of a rough loss from the previous week. I don't have many notes about this. I feel like I played it pretty well. Chromium, I wouldn't even say played bad. I think the prep was kind of wacky, and that just kind of comes with experience. And in general, the team was kind of wacky, but, you know, you're playing Pokemon. You're here for a hobby. You can do what the fuck you want. I don't care. I mean, granted, I want to win, but that's the goal that I set for me. I want to do well, by my metric. But not everyone has to win to have fun. Like, just fucking have fun. You'll see in the draft guide, if you open the description, rule 1 is have fun. I don't care if you win or not. Have fun. That's what you're doing. It's your fucking hobby. Have fun doing your hobby, or otherwise stop doing it. When I stopped having fun playing Pokemon, you know what I did? I took a 2-year break. And I'm fresh off that 2-year break, and I'm already back in here smoking fools. But yeah, I don't even think Chromium played that bad. I think just the options that he had were kind of limited as a result of the team that he brought. And that's okay. That just kind of happens, but you move on. I got a nice little 5-0 there. King Gambit put in work. And it was around this point, I'm pretty sure, either this point or the point before, when I realized I really hated my team. It's a bit of an overstatement, but I didn't really like my team much. And I guess to circle back to this team, I have not been bringing Raging Bolt. I've not been getting good use of Enamorus, and those are 2 of my key Pokemon as far as points go. Hitmonlee and Decidueye have stayed on the bench, and they will continue to stay on the bench. And that's the thing about me, is that if I draft 12 Pokemon, I want to use all 12 Pokemon. I want to be able to use all 12 Pokemon. And I felt like I could not use Hitmonlee, because every time I wanted to bring Hitmonlee, Flygon was better. And every time I wanted to bring Decidueye, I realized that Grass Ghost is one of the worst typings in the game. So, I felt like I couldn't really use 4 of my Pokemon. Talonflame also felt kind of weak, and King Gambit was my kill leader at this point. It did really well in the season. But the quad weakness is kind of hard to build with, but yeah. It was at this point when I realized, okay, I don't really like this team that much. What transactions can I make? And I thought about it. And then I looked at my week 5, and I realized I was up against Mark. And the thing about Mark's team, and again, no slight, no discredit, whatever. Mark's team is really bad against fairy types. And I was planning on dropping Enamorus. I'm just going to tell you right now, I drop Enamorus. If you haven't seen the rest of the season, I drop Enamorus. Spoiler alert. But strong fairy offense is very good into Mark's team. So I brought Enamorus, Pheasantipity, and Terra Fairy Hisuian Avalugg, because fairy types are just incredibly good. I think from the rest of Mark's draft, I don't remember what his steel type was. I think he had one. Let's skip. Oh, it was Overquill. That was his poison. I don't even know if he had a steel, to be honest. I know he had Ursaring and Squawkabilly as some of the other ones. But just on team preview, there's 1 Resistive Fairy and a Disinterate, which still gets 2-shot by Moonblast. So, yeah. In this game, my win con is Scarf Flygon, and my goal is to break as much as possible with Sphax Enamorus and Ogerpon, which are both really good here. And then Pheasantipity and Avalugg to wall. This defensive core, by the way, between Pheasantipity and Hisuian Avalugg, so fun to play with. Limiting at times, for sure, but very fun. And King Gambit's also here to do big damage. So anyway, I lead off with Flygon into lead Meowscarada. As I said, I am Scarf Flygon. And what button does Scarf Flygon click? That's right, it clicks U-turn. And Meowscarada fucking dies. So, that was not the smartest play on my end by any means. It could have just been triple Axel Scarf Meowscarada, and I would have just lost my Flygon, which is annoying. Which would have been annoying for sure. But looking at this team, I was like, maybe Flygon's not that great, you know. It doesn't really hit Ting Lu that hard. Jirachi didn't come. That was the steel type. Jirachi didn't come, which makes my fairies look better, but it also means that Flygon loses its biggest target. Rotom is really annoying for it. Ting Lu's really annoying for it. Maybe I don't really need Flygon. I can just click U-turn. Whatever happens, happened. And whatever happened was I just killed the Meowscarada instantly. So, works out for me. Also, I was pretty pressed for time. I don't think I took this battle that seriously in hindsight. I honestly don't remember. But yeah, I don't even have nicknames. that's how rushed this whole prep ordeal was. And I normally always have nicknames. So anyway, I get the first kill. Oh wait, no, I did have nicknames, just not in the Flygon. Dragon Ball comes with the Pheasantipity, which, gotta say it, is an interesting play to bring a Dragon type in on a Fairy type. It ends up being choice banded with Phantom Force. It is about 50%. Unfortunately, Moonblast is a lot more than that. And I got the Toxic, which is nice. So now it's locked into Phantom Force. And I knew from the calcs that it was choice banded. So I click Roost, knowing that it has to click Phantom Force one more time. I Roost after the fact, and Toxic is the kill on the Dragon Bolt. So we're 5 turns in. The best Pokemon in the league, Dragapult, is gone. Meowscarada, one of the other best Pokemon in the league, is gone. I'm up 6 against 4. Very strong start for me by turn 5. Here comes the Cinderace. I just stay in and slow U-turn because this shit ain't killing me. Unless it's like Banded Iron Head, in which case I get free entry with Flygon or with Enamorus. Not with Enamorus, but like if it's choice Banded Iron Head and kills me, I get to bring in this thing or King Gambit or Ogerpon or whatever, and I just click a button. And something takes a lot of damage. So I bring in my Terra Fairy Avalugg. Fun fact, this is Terra Fairy Avalugg as opposed to Terra Water Avalugg. I strongly consider Terra Water. Even with Terra Water, it walls the Meowscarada. But why am I Terra Fairy? Well, Cinderace gets this funny move called Electro Ball. And Electro Ball does like 80% to Terra Water Avalugg. So I'm Terra Fairy. Mark gets about playing me with the Protean there. I expected high jump kick or something. I just clicked Terra Blast. I actually don't remember why I did. I think I was just Terra Blast and then Ice move. I forget what my other move was. It might have just been Terra Blast Earthquake. I think it was Terra Blast Earthquake. We'll see it later. But yeah, Fairy ground coverage hits Mark seem very hard, as you can see. Anyway, Diancie comes in. I go to King Gambit, which eats any hit that's not Body Press. Gyro Ball is indeed not Body Press, and Iron Head just destroys it. Here comes the Ting Lu. Fun fact about Ting Lu, it is pretty hard walled by Ogerpon. It is able to sub the rocks, but now we reveal that I am sub Ogerpon. And Ogerpon beyond substitute is very hard for this team to deal with because Horn Leech does that much to Rotom. And it can't burn me with Will-O-Wisp, which is only better for me. Here comes the Ting Lu. I go for the Cudgel. Ends up revealing to be Whirlwind, so good thing I didn't sub there. But at this point, look at the game state. Cinderace is chipped. Rotom is very weak. Ting Lu is half. It's pretty in my favor at this point. It's just how much am I able to win by. I U-turn back into the Ogerpon on the Ruination, which was the thing that was going to do most to me. But Hornleech's going to get a lot of health back for me. Take off the Ting Lu. Here comes the Cinderace. I think I just go King Gambit, yeah. And I am kind of playing with fire here. It could have been like something else, but at this point, I kind of knew I was going to win the game. Whisk comes out for the Rotom, but I am Lumberry King Gambit. Kowtow is going to get the kill on the Rotom. And Avalugg should be able to wall out the Cinderace for whatever it's going to go for. So we get a nice little 6-0 versus Mark. First 6-0 I've gotten in quite a while, so I was very happy about it. Yeah, I reveal Earthquake. There we go. So yeah, 6-0 game. I feel like I played that pretty well. Pretty solid from the top down. Mark, I mean, I don't think he played his best. And again, not a slight. Mark had a lot of stuff going on in his real life leading up to this season. Congrats on being a father. That's fucking sick. I hope your family's doing well. If you are watching this, Mark. But, yeah. I just kind of was able to abuse the fact that I had a really strong matchup and a lot of experience. And play to my advantage in that regard. And I made risky plays, but none of them really risked the game. They just risked certain Pokemon. And that's the thing about me, is that I usually am fine with losing a Pokemon or two, as long as I can guarantee a clear endgame and a clear win condition. And I feel like I played to that pretty well here. So yeah. Poor Hanaris. I hyped her up so much, and she didn't even leave the Pokeball. And now she's gone. What the fuck? Who are these guys? Huh? Yeah, let's go to my real team at this point. Let them all load in. There we go. So, I didn't really like most of my other guys. I ended up drafting these guys. I don't really care to explain all of it that much. I wanted Annihilate because Annihilate sounded like a fun Pokemon to use. I wanted Iron Crown because I wanted, a good Steel type that could tank hits. I wanted Rabombi for the same speed tier as Talonflame. That was pretty much the only reason. Sticky Webs is a nice bonus. I wanted Iron Jugulis because I wanted some kind of special breaker, and Iron Jugulis was the best one left on the board. I wanted Rotom Heat because that Pokemon is amazing. Just straight up phenomenal. And I have Fortress and Quagsire here to patch up my Hazard game because up until that point, I wasn't getting Hazards up all that much. If you look at all these games, I don't have Hazards up. I have Rocks up, that's it. No Hazards. So my Hazard game has been kind of shit this whole season. So I picked up Quagsire and Fortress to try and patch that a little bit. Quagsire has the added bonus of being a little doofus with Unaware. And a bulky water type, which is something I like to have. Takes some of the pressure off of Ogerpon and lets Avalugg be a little bit more free with its Terras. So yeah. I guess there is that. So at this point, I am 4-1. I think I'm plus 18 in differential. So I'm pretty much assured playoffs at this point. The worst I can do is go even 4-4, and usually that is enough to make playoffs. So whatever. I felt pretty good about the rest of the season. I knew I could bring some fun stuff going forward if I wanted to. But this matchup versus SwordofBlueThunder was very scary because SwordofBlueThunder had a Dreadnought. Terra Dreadnought with Shell Smash is broken. But unfortunately for Sword, I think he said he didn't see my transactions, which is really rough because there is a big difference between the old team and this team. Notably, there's an Annihilate, and there's a Rotom, and there's a fucking Quagsire. There's a lot of really good Pokemon that were not there before. And notably, there's an absence of Enamorus, which Sword said was one of the biggest things he prepped for, that flat out does not exist anymore. So, unfortunate. Sometimes you only realize your mistake once you load into battle. Like sometimes you load into battle and you realize you have the wrong Terra. Just part of the game. Sometimes you fuck up. You just play the ball where it lies. So I lead Iron Crown. Crown was my dedicated lead in this game. I liked Iron Crown for being a good dedicated lead because Tachyon Cutter is a very good move and it has Volt Switch for good pivoting. It's a very bulky Pokemon. Hits pretty hard. It's pretty nice all around. Tachyon would have one-shot the Glamora if it wasn't like super duper bulky, and this revealed to be super duper bulky. So yeah, it goes to the Earth Power. I think I was Assault Vest, so that's why it took nothing. And I go for another Tachyon Cutter, and just look at the damage it does. This team does not have a good switch into Tachyon Cutter, and I abuse it. I abuse it as much as I can. Fun little tech time. Break. Oops. And I go with the Volt Switch. So yeah, already Iron Crown put in big work. Big damage on Glamora, big damage on Klefki, and the light screen is gone. And I have momentum in front of Iron Hands. I just go into Annihilate. Annihilate was meant to deal with Iron Hands, and it misses the play rough. So that clues me into the fact that this Iron Hands is aware that Annihilate exists. This Iron Hands is good into my Annihilate, which is scary because, Iron Hands does big damage into my team. It's pretty easy to go 1-for-1 with this Pokemon, and that is not fun to prep against. So I go for the bulk up. Player hits does about 45%. I go for the Drain Punch to get some health back. I think I'm Resto Chesto? I don't really remember. Rachus is boosted up, and it's enough to get the kill. So, again, that play rough sucks. And you can see Sword kind of salting in the chat. This is not a great day for him. And that happens. Sometimes you just have bad days. But yeah. So, I didn't deserve to win that exchange, but I did. Now that it gets taken down the next turn by the bundle, I just go into my Iron Crown. Because I'm going to be honest, Something in my heart just said that this bundle was specs. So it was choice itemed. And even if it wasn't, again, I'm AV Crown, so Hydro Pump isn't doing much if it's just boots. So if I just go for the Tachyon, does about 50% as a Rude. I have a good answer in this in my Ribombee, Mr. Agent 011. And by good answer, I mean I take 42 from knockoff because holy fuck, this Pokemon is terrible. But I got up webs, just as a nice little contingency. I bring in my Flygon Freaks. Light Screen into Calm Mind is an interesting combo. However, Earthquake. Here comes the bundle. Reveals that it is in fact not boots. I go to my Rotom on the very obvious ice move. Again, if it's water move, I go to Ogre Pond for free. Otherwise, I just stay in and I click the discharge button. Oh, I clicked Nasty Plot like a fool. Thunderbolt doesn't kill, which is very unfortunate because now Mortal Spin happens. So clicking Nasty Plot there was definitely a mistake. I should have just clicked Thunderbolt and gotten my free kill. Hubris, my Hubris knows no bounds, of course. But I'm able to get the pick on the Glimmer regardless. No webs, sucks, but whatever. Now you might be wondering, why is this Rotom still in front of a water type? And the answer to that is that I don't need Rotom anymore. Rotom is at 42% and it's poisoned. By the end of this turn, it's going to be 30%. It does not beat Zarude. It does not beat Farigiraf. It is not useful to this game anymore in most capacities. So I'm fine with letting it go down. And I think that's something that new players struggle with a lot, is knowing when it's fine to sack a Pokemon. Because here, I say either you have to click Hydro Pump, lock into it, because we saw that it's not boots, so it's probably choice item. So I said either you lock into Hydro Pump, and risk the 20% miss, you lock into Chilling Water, and risk in me having every Pokemon in my team be able to take that, or you lock into Freeze Dry, praying to God that I switch out, and if I stay in, I kill your Iron Bundle. So I kill the Iron Bundle. It's just that risk versus reward. Like, yeah, I could have gone into Iron Crown and been safe, or whatever, and I could have not sacked Rotom, and it would have been a 5-0 instead of a 4-0. Or, I could have gone to Iron Crown and got frozen. I don't want to risk that. I already got frozen early in the season. My team remaining is not amazing in the Iron Bundle. So, I'm fine with taking, an 80% chance to die. If that means I can either dodge or get the read correct and just kill Iron Bundle. So yeah. Don't overthink. Just click what's in front of you. It's going to be fine. I was in fact cussed at Berry on Rotom, which was a fun tech. I think Endure was my last move. Just 89% for a Giraffe, which is nice. And at this point, Ribombee is going to be able to clean it up with Moonblast into Moonblast and or Bug Buzz. I forget what my last was. It was Moonblast. That's fine. So yeah, we get the win 4-0. This is another game I feel like I played pretty strong. Not too much to say other than it's unfortunate that Sword, prepped wrong. It just kind of is what it is. Sometimes you just fuck up, and you got to deal with the consequences of it. Don't worry too much about Sword though. He did make playoffs to his credit, so we rise up. But speaking of rising up, we are now 4-1 is our record, I believe. 5-1. 5-1 is our record. Entirely clinched into playoffs. I think we're second place in the league at this point. Only team above us is Vortex, who is undefeated, and don't you worry, we'll get to him later. So, yeah, again, be okay with Pokemon going down. Sometimes it's okay to just attack what's in front of you, and attack where they can't defend. You saw that I just brought in Iron Crown and I clicked Tachyon Cutter 4 times. That's because the resist is this guy, which is weak to Psychic anyway. So, Tachyon is very free into this team. This just dies. This takes, as you saw, 70%. This takes 70%. This takes 50%. This gets 3-shot and doesn't have good recovery other than Wish. And if it clicks Wish, I bring in my Ogre Pond. Or I bring in my Rotom on Terra Water or whatever. So yeah, just keep it simple. Know what you want to do. Have a good game plan mapped out. It is kind of hard for me to roll back to my thought process. I think in the draft doc, I have a pinned playlist of live comm draft matches. Recommend looking at those if you want some more of my in-battle thought process. But this is just kind of a seasonal recap. That's what it's all about. But yeah, I feel like
not too much to talk about for this one. I just kind of attacked what was in front of me. Now you'll notice I mentioned hazards a bit ago when talking about my transactions. This team from Fahadd was a big reason why I wanted those transactions. Across Fahadd's entire draft, which is very threatening, by the way. Fahadd is a very threatening draft. By the way, my U7s versus Fahadd. Fahadd is a very threatening draft, by all accounts. However, there is one form of hazard control, and it is defog on Cleavor. So I said, I am hazard stacking this man. I am bringing Fortress off the bench solely to click Stealth Rock and Spikes, and I do not care. And I brought Fortress over Avalugg, which was a bit bold, but that let me Terra Flygon, which was fun. And again, I'm 5-1. I'm clinched in playoffs. Fahadd is still fighting for a spot. I didn't really care, to be completely honest. I was fine with winning or losing. I would have preferred to win, but I didn't need to win. But yeah, the girlies are pulling up, and the two they-thems. Shout out to the homies. We lead off with Low Tier God. Into the Cleavor. Annihilate was always my dedicated lead, by the way, into the Cleavor, because it quad resists Bug and it resists Rock. And every time it gets hit, it powers up the Rage Fist. It could have been like dual Wing Beat, but this thing can't be Technician, so it's fine. Zooming Quillfish comes in, and I was like, yay, and then I realized it wasn't Intimidate. So I get my Bulk Up buff. I go for the Drain Punch. Does 21%, and I get fucking Poison Pointed. Annoying ass piece of shit. So I have to switch out into my Spin Forever, the Fortress, off the bench, on the field. Let's go. So I said to my Stealth Rock. 3 Pokemon weak to rocks, just good to have. Goes with the Defog. I said to my Spikes. Okay. I'm going to go into my Annihilate, trying to eat up that Defog, and I eat a Stone Axe instead. So, not what I wanted from the exchange. I click Rest here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just to get back up to full. And I am Resto Chesto. So that works out. I bring in my Fortress. I am Boots with Sturdy. Just because I know hazards are going to be the name of this game quite substantially. Set my rocks back up. Bring in my Iron Crown to try and punish most things. And U-turn does a shit ton. So whoops. I am not playing the start of the game very well. And Fahadd is definitely playing better than me. So how do we stop that from happening? Well, Savior Rotom Heat. Will-O-Wisp. And we eat that Stone Edge for breakfast. You are going to notice a lot in the latter half of the season that I rely very heavily on Rotom Heat because it is a phenomenal Pokemon. Much better electric type than fucking whatever, this piece of garbage. Weak to Draco Meteor and Moonblast and Earthquake. Peace, who can imagine? I'm only weak to water and rock. That's it. So yeah, Rotom Heat, phenomenal Pokemon. Cannot endorse it enough. Definitely one of the GOATs of my late game season. And you see it annoys the shit out of the Fahadd. I could PP stall this thing if I wanted to, but I don't really want to. So I go to Fortress. And I take 8% from Stone Edge, which is the least amount anyone has ever taken from Stone Edge. And I get rid of the rocks. It is Helmet Hippo, which is not fun. Not fun by any means. But I just bring in my Ogerpon because I'm like, Hippo cannot hit Ogerpon for any damage, and Ivy Cudgel is free. Because the resist is Kyurem. This doesn't want to take it because it's not Intimidate, and it can't be Poison Pointed. Probably dies, definitely dies. Kyurem, if it doesn't take hazard damage, Ivy Cudgel into any move is going to kill it, because that means it's Boots, which means it's slower. And if it's Scarf, it takes 37.5% of its HP, plus however much Ivy Cudgel did. Let's be honest, probably like 40%, 35%. Big damage. And then Scarf Kyurem is not going to have a fun time into the rest of this team, especially considering one of them is AV Crown. So Hippo goes down. I say sorry about the crit. Didn't really matter though, because Hippo was doing 8% to me max. I bring in the Fori on the Pain Split. That was not a great play on my part, but it worked out okay-ish. I go for the Body Press. I'm just trying to get some chip at this point. I go for the Rapid Spin. And at this point, I have resigned Fortress to the fate of get the rocks off. Keep hazards off of my side at all costs. So, is it the best plan? Not really, but it's the plan I chose. Whatever that means. I go for the Rapid Spin to make sure I'm faster. And I go for the body press just to set up a little checkmate. Crunch actually doesn't even kill me, which is nice. And I go for the body press to get the kill on the Quillfish. So 2% Fortress gets a kill. Let's go. It is about to die though because it's at 2%. I could save it for a sack, but like this Cleavor's been doing enough damage to my team. I don't need to make it do more. I click Stealth Rock in case it goes for Defog. It did in fact go for Defog. But there I click Rocks again. Clicks the U-turn, switches out to reset some momentum. Here comes the Curum, and it takes Rocks. So now I am definitively not that scared of Curum. Freeze Strike comes out, 25%. That is a Scarf Curum, and that is a delicious Drain Punch target. At this point, Rage Fist, after this Freeze Strike, is like, what, 200 base power, I think? Because it took a hit from the Cleavor. And I'm at 86%, and Annihilate looks very good here. Now, here's another example. Something I didn't mention is that Galarian Articuno is a Terra Captain, and versus my team, it is very scary, because any amount of setup it gets could be lethal. My answer was AV Crown. It is at 53%. So, I have two options. I could either switch out my Annihilate, trying to save it for later, which, admittedly, Annihilate looks very good here. It's good into Cleavor, it's good into Darkrai. I could switch out my Annihilate, save it for later, and try and pivot around this thing if it clicks Freezing Glare, and risk it potentially clicking Agility and or Calm Mind and becoming a problem, or predict it to click Agility, click Rage Fist, which is 200 base power, and kill it instantly. Going back to this battle, you remember this? Go to turn, what, 19 it was? Stay in, take the kill. It's better for me here to risk losing Annihilate than risk this thing setting up an Agility, getting a free +2, me being unable to kill it with my answer, and then it just sweeps through my whole team with Terra Blast Fairy, and then probably does a million to this thing as well. Probably, it could even kill this. Like, it's not going to win the game on its own, but it's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to set up for Darkrai very well in the back. So I say, fuck that. I'm not playing around. You can have my Annihilate. It's all yours if you want it. But if you're not going to take it, I'm going to punch you in the face. So I punch it in the face. I go to my Iron Crown, and yeah, Fahadd at this point knows it's over. It clicks, it says GG's. It's GG's, you know. I go for the Tachyon Cutter just to get the kill into Cleavor. And again, I could go for the 5-0 here. Send a message or something like that. But I don't care. I'm in playoffs, man. I don't give a shit. Again, it could have clicked Dark Pulse there and killed me. Or it could have clicked Sub and been a fucking problem. Or it could have clicked Nasty Plot and been a problem. I didn't want to deal with that. I'm fine with letting Crown go down. It's 5 against 1. I'll be damned if I'm losing to this Darkrai. I'm hitting it with every single turn I got, with everything I got, to make sure this thing fucking dies. So with that being said, here comes the Annihilate. We need 2 Dark Pulse flinches, and the first one doesn't get the 20%. Drain Punch gets the kill, and we win at 5-0. Could have been a 4-0, could have been a 3-0. But again, I gave an ultimatum. I said either you take this Pokemon, or I'm taking yours. And both those times it succeeded for me, and if it didn't, well, if it didn't kill my Annihilate, I would have brought an Ogerpon and killed back, or Iron Crown and killed back now that it's Terrid. And if Darkrai, in fact, killed my Iron Crown, I would have just brought in Annihilate regular. And I would have won 4-0. So, again, it's fine to lose 1 Pokemon or 2 Pokemon as long as you don't lose the game. You don't have to win every game 6-0. You don't have to win every game 5-0, 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, 1-0. But you have to win the game. That's my philosophy. Week 8. This was a game I wasn't sure was going to happen because the opposing coach dropped. But it ended up happening anyway. This was a game I wanted to win because if I won it, I would have secured up 2nd seed, which would have been nice. And I think also if I won it, I could have gotten to plus 30 differential, which would have been insane. My differential of this league was crazy because I've been winning all my games by pretty significant margins. I mean, 4-0, 5-0, lose 2-0, whatever. 5-0, 6-0, 5-0, 5-0. Or no, this was a 4-0, sorry. But yeah, I think that's what, it was like plus 27, plus 28 at this point. It was crazy. It was super high. So I really wanted to hit plus 30 differential. That would be my highest. So I don't know. I wanted to win. I didn't think too hard about it. The biggest threat here for me was set a Reverum. But I thought, I have Avalugg. I'll be fine. Umbreon can probably deal with it. Rotom can probably hamper it. Whatever. It'll be fine. Scarf Annihilate looks really good here. Specs Iron Dragonless looks really good here. Iron Crown is good into most of these teams, most of the Pokemon here. It's a hard Trick Room team, so as long as I deal with Trick Room, I'll be fine. I lead Scarfape into lead Azelf. I just click the U-turn because there's no reason not to. I go into Umbreon. Again, it could be Scarf Azelf, but I think lead Scarf Azelf was a little bit insane. And even then, I'm pretty sure Psychic didn't kill because Annihilate is incredibly bulky. And I was HP invested because I had Final Gambit. So, completely riskless U-turn. I click the U-turn. Umbreon comes in, and this thing completely walls Azelf, forces it to switch out. I just go for the little Snarl because that's the move I have. I think it was Snarl, Toxic, Wish Protect. Maybe it was Moonlight, Baton Pass. I don't remember. But I have Snarl and Toxic. I Toxic the P2 because I'm like, this thing is annoying. Hindsight, I should have been Inner Focus, so I didn't give it Synchronize. That was kind of dumb of me in prep. But whatever. P2 is Toxic. This is an annoying piece of shit. I want it to be poisoned. I go for Tachyon. At this point, I'm just trying to chip down this P2 as much as possible. Goes for the Thunder Wave. Paralyzes my Iron Crown. That is not fun. I think I'm Choice Specs Iron Crown. Yeah, and I do 50% to Torkoal. So yeah, I am Choice Specs Iron Crown, actually. That's why P2 took 40. That's why this took 50. Specs Iron Crown hits like a truck. Bring in my Rotom, because that's my main Torkoal answer, and Eruption bounces off. And it's Life Orb at that, so I just kill it with Discharge. I actually don't. Wow, it actually dies to its own Life Orb. Rock Slide was a cool tech, but it still goes down, so all's well that ends well. Here comes the Ursaluna. I go over the Pain Split because I want some health. Yummy. Clicks Earth Power, expecting me to switch out or forgetting I have Levitate or something like that. Sun Boosted Overheat doesn't quite get the kill, which is annoying. Here goes the Blood Moon. Leaves me on 11. And another Overheat is going to be able to take out the Ursaluna. So at this point, I am -4 Rotom Heat. Not really doing much damage. Pretty good avenue for the Reverie to come in. However, I have Will-O-Wisp. So Shift Gear comes out, and I say, Rotom, please land your Will-O-Wisp. Actually, no, I say, click Pain Split so I can get a big chunk off this thing. As I'm going for another Shift Gear, and I click Overheat. I think I had Wisp. I actually don't remember if I had Wisp. Maybe it was Nasty Plot. Regardless, I click Overheat. This thing's at 21%. And I'm like, okay. Reverie is at 21%. I don't have priority, but I have a pretty good avenue of winning this. I sack it to Gunk Shot, whatever. That could have missed. If it would have missed, Rotom would have gotten the kill there. That would have been fine. But whatever. I gotta bring in my Hisuian Avalugg, and I am Terra Water in this thing. I live a hit, and no matter what this thing Terra's into, because this is a Terra Captain, no matter what Reverie Terra is into, Mountain Gale should get the kill. So I just have to hit my 85% accurate move. If I just hit my 85% accurate move, then I kill the Reverie, and it should be fine. And I miss. And Gunk Shot got the poison, by the way. Let me just point that out. That extra little bit of horse shit. That it hit, and it got the poison, which was enough to put me in range of Terra Blast flying. If that Gunk Shot didn't poison, he would have had to risk another Gunk Shot hitting. Just want to put that out there. And Gunk Shot is less accurate than Mountain Gale, but whatever. I missed the Mountain Gale. It's fine. You can always miss your Gunk Shot here. Or not. It's fine. You can always miss your High Horsepower here. It's 95% accurate. Or not. It's fine. You could always miss your Gunk Shot here. Or not. And the game's over. I was mad. I was so mad. I did the odds. It was a 2%. 2% of the games I would have played would have gone that way. And you might say, you landed 2 overheats in front of the Ursaluna. Kind of wish I didn't. I kind of wish the Rotom died. So that way I could bring in something else just fresh in front of the Reverie and be fine. But yeah, I didn't play this game phenomenally, I'm going to be honest. I did kind of just leave Pokemon in to die. But man, that RG really pissed me off. 2%, man. Mountain Gale miss into Gunk Shot hit into Poison into Gunk Shot hit into High Horsepower hit into Gunk Shot hit. Very, very annoying. So I lose 4-0, which sucks. I thought I lost the second seed there, but actually Fahadd, shout out to the GOAT, was able to beat Penguin 6-0, who was the contender for second seed. So Penguin got third seed, I got second seed, and Vortex got the first seed. So now 8 weeks of regular season is done. The standings right now: Vortex had a perfect undefeated season, 8 wins, 0 losses. Kudos. I had 6 wins and 2 losses. The wins I felt good about. The losses I was very upset about. It was a mix of bad play and bad RNG on my end. So yeah, I could blame the RNG as much as I want. I also just didn't play well. I didn't prep well. Whatever. Third place, Penguin, 6 and 2 as well. I definitely felt like we were sort of the quote-unquote big three, because, like, Vortex, very strong player. I'm a pretty strong player. Penguin had the best draft in the league, and we're going to see that very soon. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. And the way I am is, like, I want to fight all the strong people, especially when I'm in a league that I feel like I am, of the higher skill bracket in. I want to fight all the strong players I can. So I was like, I want to fight Penguin. I want to fight Vortex. Let's get in the playoffs. But the way that round 1 playoffs works is that the top 3 seeds pick their first opponent, their quarterfinals opponents. So the bottom 4 seeds was, I think it was Fahadd, Sword, Drago, who is the owner of the league, and Mark. And if you'll recognize, aside from Drago, we fought Mark, Sword, and Fahadd. We fought all of those people, and we beat all of them pretty decisively. And with my luck, Vortex ends up taking Drago, who was the player that he 6-0'd during this week that I alluded to. So Vortex takes Drago. I'm the second seed, so I have the second pick. I have to pick between these 3. And I had to pick Mark. And at a service level, you'd say, you pick Mark because you beat him the hardest. You beat him 6-0, which is more than 5-0 and more than 4-0. That's true. Also, Mark didn't prep against my new team. Mark preps against my old team. I fought Sword and Fahadd with my new team, which means both of them have pretty good intel into what I want to bring versus them. And they have a pretty set amount of things to target in my prep. Whereas I don't really have that leg up. I didn't really get to see either of their teams that much because, to put it bluntly, I won too fast. Sorry, this is the facts. Also, I don't want to touch this fucking team. Fahadd, your team is full of demons, even though it only has 1 removal. Setting hazards is really fucking hard. I'm not good at it. I need Hisuian Samurott. Save me. But yeah, I pick Mark as my quarterfinals opponent. And so, I rematch with Mark in quarterfinals. You'll see a few differences. Jirachi is still not here, which I'm still very happy about because I think Jirachi's good in my team. But not seeing it is fine. It's fun. And we've each traded out 2 Pokemon. Mark no longer has the Meowscarada or the, what else did he have? Let's find out. Mark no longer has Meowscarada or Diancie. Instead, he has Overqwil and Squawkabilly. I no longer have the Enamorus or the, other guy I traded away. My god, I'm dumb as hell. Oh, and the alarm went off. This is just scuffed as shit, whatever. I don't have my Enamorus or King Gambit that I traded away. I instead have Iron Jugulis with Choice Bags, and I have Quagsire coming off the bench. And with Quagsire coming, that means all 12 of these guys came to at least 1 game, which I think is a pretty big accomplishment with having 12 Pokemon. It's hard to make every one of them be useful, and they weren't all equally useful, but they all came to a game, they all did something. And I think that's cool. Anyway, Quag comes off the bench. We're in quarterfinals. And the one thing that Mark knows very well, Mark probably remembers from the last game, is that I have a Scarf Flygon. And I know that Mark knows that I like Scarf Flygon in this matchup. Last time, I led with Scarf Flygon and got a kill turn 1. This time, I lead with Scarf Flygon. Spoilers, it's the same, it's still Scarf. These 4 Pokemon are running the same sets as last time, by the way. This is still Terra Fairy, this is still Substitute, this is still Mixed Bulk. I think this is more special defensive, maybe. I don't remember, honestly. It might have been more Fizdef. Maybe this was my Masquerade answer, whatever. Regardless, I know that Mark knows that this thing could be Scarfed. Which means, this Dragapult, which Mark very intentionally led with, could also be Scarfed. Now, I could stay in with Flygon, and just risk it not being Scarfed, and click Draco Meteor, and try and get the kill. Or I could even Terra Steel, and make sure that I live this hit from Dragapult. But I kind of need my Terra on Avalugg. Because Avalugg is very good here with Terra into the Tinglu and into the Squawkabilly, which is kind of a scary Pokemon. It's weird to say that about Squawkabilly, but Terra Normal with Hustle or Guts, it's really hard. So, I need Avalugg. I need to have my options open. I say I can't be tearing Flygon. And I can't risk losing Flygon on turn 1. Because although there's 2 ground immunities, Earthquake is still super nice into this team. I want to have Flygon around. So, turn 1, I hard switch into Serendipity. And Mark reads this and clicks U-turn. So that's annoying. Already I'm on the back foot. Whatever. Here comes the Overquill. This Overquill very clearly designed to deal with my Dippity Toilet. But what's nice is I now have Quagsire, which is designed to deal with this Overquill. Rotom's going to come in. I set up my spikes. Now I have some hazards. It goes for the Wisp on me, and I get the Toxic off. Definitely this trade works better in my favor. I don't remember if I'm Special Quag in this game, but getting a Toxic on Rotom, a Pokemon that already struggles with longevity, is really nice. I bring in my Serendipity once again, because that's my main answer into Rotom. Being so especially bulky. I tank a Wisp, whatever. I can roost off and be fine. I do just that. I think I stand in U-turn or just hard switch. Yeah, I just hard switch because Poison Jab doesn't do that much. I think I am actually Earthquake, and this is where it kind of bites me in the ass, which is, of course, annoying. Crunch does big damage. EQ does not do much damage. And now we're just kind of in this annoying spot where Mark is clicking Crunch, hoping for defense drops. I'm clicking Recover and praying that those don't happen. So this interlude lasts for quite a bit. I just click Recover, occasionally click Earthquake, and then he heals up with Black Sludge anyway. So this takes a while. Eventually, I switch out my Quag when it's at 52%, and this reveals Destiny Bond. And I'm like, ooh, interesting. And I switch to Jug this turn because Overquill is low enough that it's still going to click Crunch. It's not going to do much. And Specs Jugulus is very threatening at this point in time. Yeah, there's a Tingaloo, but like I have Hydro Pump with this thing, and Hydro Pump 2 shots. So very cool Destiny Bond tech. I go back into Quagsire to just stall another turn, and here comes said Tingaloo. And this gives me a good chance to do whatever I want. I think I click Recover or I click Toxic. Yeah, here goes the Body Press. I go for the Toxic there. And Body Press does a good amount of damage, to be fair. I think I'm full defensive Quagsire, like full Fizz Def. I actually don't remember. I could probably pull up the spreads, but I'm too lazy. I go for the Recover, though, to get back into full. And already this Tingaloo's taking some chips, so these spikes are putting in work. Already down to 63. I go for the little U-turn, just to get some extra chip. Go to my Ogrepon, which historically has been good at walling this thing. I think I clicked Ivy Cudgel? Yeah. I think the read I had on this thing at this point in time was that it was max HP, max defense, and Assault Vest. And Ivy Cudgel was always a kill there. I could have gone for Substitute, but I thought just getting Ivy Cudgel was better. So I get the first kill, which is nice, but already this is a different board state because I have 2 Pokemon chipped and burned. Ogrepon is chipped. A lot of the cards are on the table, and it's 22 turns in as opposed to 1 turn in for the first Pokemon going down. So already Mark is playing much, much better than in our regular season match. So kudos to Mark because this game is very fun, as you will see. I begin Quag on the Cinderace as it just goes for the U-turn. 27% is a demon amount, and that confirms that my Quag is, in fact, more specially defensive, I think. Here comes the Avalugg on the Billy. Double Edge is 17%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is resisted to Avalugg, which has the highest defense in the game. It's like 184 defense, 95 HP. Super bulky resisted hit, doing 17%. I see that, and I say, oh, that is definitely hustle double edge damage. But at least it's not choice banded. This is choice scarf. And what's nice is that if this is choice scarf, my Flygon is choice scarf. I have the faster Scarfer. So if this thing tears normal, I can Earthquake pretty freely once the Rotom goes down, of course. And if not, I have Draco Meteor, which should get the kill on Squawkabilly at some point. So I go for my Terra Fairy, Terra Blast, do some nice chip to the Rotom. And now I just go to my Serendipity, because that's my main answer into the I go into this thing. Oops. Maybe I'm Water Absorbent unaware? I honestly don't remember. This battle was a while ago. Actually, it was only 2 weeks ago. What's my excuse? I go for the Recover. At this point, I'm like, okay, Quagsire is 1 Recover left. It's not going to be that useful. I'm fine with playing into Destiny Bond, and I do exactly that. I play into Destiny Bond. Quagsire goes down. It could have been nice, but like, 1 Recover left. It already got up a spike. It's done its job. Tinglu is gone as well, but is the main thing it wants to wall. And Overquill as well. Those are the two things it wants to wall. Great read from Mark. Reading with the gunk shot. That was a really big miss. That really worked in my favor. RNG has been all over the place this season. Either I get it good RNG in small bursts, or I get terrible RNG in big bursts. This is a case of small bursts of good RNG for sure. Because gunk shot does a ton to me. Earthquake does a ton of the Cinderace, but it's not enough for the kill. I stay in, risking it, and I click Earthquake and not recover. So I got the play right, and I played off it wrong, which is very annoying. I should have clicked recover. I don't know why I didn't. I think I just wanted the Cinderace gone, but that came out to bite me because now I have low HP Avalugg that is not very useful, and I've kind of exhausted my Terra, but I have a fairly useful Terra on Flygon. So 4 against 4, again, much different game state compared to last game. And I want to go back to the regular season just to point out how much Mark has improved, because this is an entirely different battle, and I think Mark should get his flowers for how much better he's been playing. Regardless, Specs Jugulis comes in, and with Tinglu gone, it gets a kill, which is nice. Squawkabilly comes in, it is Terra Normal Choice Scarf, and it gets a kill right back. So now, all cards are on the table. This Squawkabilly is revealed to be Choice Scarfed. I know I have a Choice Scarf Flygon. I have to be wary of potential Choice Scarf Dragapult. I have Ogerpon, which gets outsped by everything, which is not great. I have Esendivity, which can take a hit from the Dragapult, okay. Cinderace is in range of pretty much anything. Squawkabilly is in range of pretty much anything. A lot of these cards are known on the table. The big thing is Dragapult on Mark's side and Flygon on my side. Who's winning this exchange? Here comes the Dragapult. I go for Earthquake. Either I stay in, risk this thing being scarfed, and I either kill it or I don't. But Dragapult clicked one move. That one move was U-turn. And I did the damage calcs, and I found out that Dragapult was in fact not choice banded, which led me to think it was very likely Choice Scarf. So I sack off my Ogerpon. It goes for the Phantom Force, and because it's not choice banded, that does not kill. Damage calcs saved me in that instance, because it made me know that this thing was not attack boosted, because it only did 5%. So the turn 1 blunder that lost me momentum ended up giving me just enough information to save me the game. And Ogerpon gets the kill on the Dragapult, which is huge, because now I sack off Ogerpon, and this game is as good as won. Because even if Squawkabilly is quick attack, it gets a crit. I click Earthquake. I switch out into Fezandipity, sack it off, and first impression kills the Cinderace. But regardless, good game, one hell of a battle. 40 turns in. I barely win 2-0. 2-0, and I'm able to advance to the semifinals. So I was very happy about this. Very, very happy. This was a very close game. Very down to the wire. Again, it was just those little pieces, but I was able to put enough early game information together to win in the late game, and that's why calcs and being diligent and dutiful and studying your opponent is incredibly important. And this is definitely a game that was won in the brain. It wasn't just the buttons we clicked; it was the thoughts we had. So kudos to Mark. This was a phenomenally played game on his part. If I lose in this kind of game, I'm perfectly okay with it, because at the end of the day, Mark played amazing in what I think is a pretty bad matchup for him, and brought it really, really close and down to the wire. So kudos. But that means I go to semifinals, and that puts me up against Penguin, who, as I said before, I think is the best team in the league. And that's because of these two little guys, Sneasler and Rillaboom, and also Hisui and Samurai, but mostly Sneasler and Rillaboom. But this guy's good, this guy's really good, this guy's good, this guy's good. The whole team is just so good. And Penguin's been using it pretty well this whole season. So I was very scared. Very, very scared. Especially because not too long ago, I lost to a setup threat that got out of hand. I did not want that to happen again. And this time, I'm not even bringing my unaware Quagsire. So how is this game going to unfold? Let's find out. Good luck, have fun, you two. Always say good luck, have fun. Lead off with Ogerpon again. Lead Ogerpon, always reliable, never fails. We click that Ivy Cudgel to 70% to Tinkaton. It sets up the rocks, but I was fine with that because Ivy Cudgel gets the kill. Had I clicked Thunder Wave there, that would have been very, very scary. Thank God I clicked rocks. Already up 5-6. Simian Samurott is scarfed, clicks X Scissor, and I live on 3. This was a roll that was very much in Penguin's favor. I'm very lucky to have lived that. Yeah, 97 to 114. So literally he got the min roll. So unfortunate. I'm sorry about that. But already turn 3. I'm up 6-4. It's better than I could have imagined. I was very scared of this matchup. This is one of the worst matchups I've had in a while. And through a mix of luck and good prep, it is going well because Ogerpon is the GOAT. Here comes the mouse hold. I go to Iron Crown, which is teched to have Rocky helmets. And that is to effectively say that this thing has to be protective pads. And if it's not wide lens, it's going to miss at some point. So that's a nice little checkmate. So we are in turn 4. And I am up. One more. There we go. Get it off the screen. We're in turn 4. I'm up 6-3. It kind of already feels like I won. But I don't want to get too cocky. Here comes the Iron Treads. Booster speed. Very big threat. I got my Rotom Heat, which is my answer for this. Rotom Heat. Ever reliable as always. And at this point, 3 physical attackers. 3 Pokemon that do not really want to eat a Will-O-Wisp. So what do I click? Will-O-Wisp. I could click Kill with Overheat, but I want Wisp. Now I click Overheat to 71% of the Rillaboom. You turn into the Sneasler. And now I say, Rotom, pretty please, land this Will-O-Wisp. And Rotom listens. At this point, I sack off my Iron Crown just to get a little bit more Rocky Helmet chip. Ends up going for another Swords Dance, so now the Sneasler is really, really scary. But you might notice, once again, super scary fighting type. And there's an Umbreon? Why is Umbreon here? To be honest, I clicked Umbreon out of nerves. I should not have gone Umbreon. That was not my plan to go Umbreon. In fact, I was so nervous. Again, no nicknames. That's how scared I was of this fucking matchup. You know I'm scared when I don't put nicknames. Because that just means I threw stuff together and hope for the best. Anyway, Gloja Cat, staring down Sneasler. Didn't mean to click it. Very, very scary situation. But once again, I am Chocolberry. 58%. I think I even lived a crit from that range. And Psychic kills the Sneasler. And at this point, 1 burned physical attacker and an Iron Treads is not going to be enough to kill the Umbreon by itself. And Wood Hammer is not going to be enough to get a kill, unfortunately for Penguin, as I am fully Fizz Def. And just a few turns later, I just smash Foul Play until I lock my ticket in finals. So, 5-0, extremely dominant win for me on paper, but in practice, this was on the razor's edge from turn 1. I just got incredibly lucky. Shout outs to Penguin, had one hell of a season. I don't think this battle is indicative of his skill by any means, because he had a lot going on. He had an injury. I hope he's feeling better. He had exams, which sucks. I'm lucky that my semester ended in May. In fact, my semester ended. Where did it end? Right here for this week. My semester ended, so I was lucky that my semester ended during the regular season while I was already in playoffs, or while I was already locked in playoffs. So that was definitely good. So yeah, Penguin couldn't really play as well as I'm sure he would have liked, which again sucks. But I did have Endure, Red Card, Bombi in the back as an extra Sneasler contingency. And regardless, I feel like I played this game really well. A lot of the stuff I had drafted up came into fruition. And pretty much all of my plays went well for me. So I was very lucky in that aspect, but I also played very well here. And I punched my ticket to finals for the first time in over 3 years. Finals of a draft league for the first time in 3 years. Who else is there? None other than Vortex. I said to myself, winning this league only feels right if I beat Vortex in finals. Because Vortex and I have been dodging each other all season, but I knew Vortex would be opposite of me in finals if I made it there. And I was pretty confident I would make it there from the beginning of the season. And lo and behold, I was right. So, here's Vortex. Extremely strong coach. Undefeated in the regular season. BBRD League. Makes content. Makes great content. Shout out to Vortex. He uploads some videos in the server. But yeah, very scary position to be in here. I actually have the matchup still on this builder doc. So, a few interesting tidbits that I want to talk about before we get into finals. First of all, this is Vortex's full team. Fun little fact. My 3 favorite Pokemon of all time are Weavile, Skeleturge, and Primarina. And there they all are. Right in front of me. Lycanroc and Gliscor are also pretty close up there. And I've sang a lot of praise about Rotom Heat. Rotom-O is pretty good too. So I'm actually fighting a lot of my favorite Pokemon of all time, which is kind of funny. I'm fighting all my favorites. But yeah, Vortex had an undefeated season. His playoff run was a little bit dicey, like mine. His semis match versus Fahadd was very close, very down to the wire. It ended up being saved by Choice Banded Lycanroc Dusk. But yeah, I studied for this game. I studied to see what Vortex brought, because I really wanted to win. Because I haven't won a draft league in a long time. I used to play a lot in Gen 8. My last league win, I've won 2 draft leagues in my time. I've won a Gen 8 National Dex League, and I won a Gen 8 Radical Red League. Those were back in 2020 and 2021, respectively. We are now in 2024, so it's been 3 years since the latest one. It's been a while. I wanted to win this really badly. So, I knew I was coming into the underdog, but I knew I had a pretty solid matchup here. I had some stuff that could do well, and luckily my builders came in really clutch with some good help in the end, but ultimately I was able to put the final pieces together. They helped with a really cool squad. Quagsire had some really fun EVs, in like I think 5 of the stats, just because all that stuff. Avalugg was attack invested and speed invested, which was really fun. I was Scarf Annihilate. I was again Assault Vest Crown, Ogerpon, and my last was a nice little nasty plot modest Rotom Heat. But yeah, in prep I was very scared of Lycanroc Dusk, Gabalion before I knew its set, Ditto, and Specs Primarina, especially Specs Primarina and Ditto. I built my entire prep around not getting swept by Ditto, so I was very worried. So, and also, Vortex had not been bringing his Weavile to that many games, so I thought if there was one Pokemon I wouldn't see, it'd be Weavile. So when I see this opposite of me, I was very confused. Maybe not confused is the right word, but I was a little bit thrown off, because this was not what I expected. I breathed a sigh of relief for no Primarina, no Ditto, no Gabalion, because those are 3 Pokemon that are annoying to deal with. But these 6 are still pretty annoying. Vortex is here for a reason. Even though he might not have the strongest team in the league, he is one of the strongest players in the league, no doubt. So I've been studying. I did my studying. I made this team together. I threw it together. I was incredibly nervous, but I still put nicknames because you got to do it. And here we go. Finals versus Vortex. Trying to get my first draft league championship in over 3 years. Or in about 3 years. Trying to finally get that dub. And I think Vortex is also fighting for his first draft league championship, so there was a lot on the line. Vortex was the favorite, but I knew I could do it. Let's get into it. Turn 1, I lead on Crown. Expecting lead Slowking, and I get it right. I click Tachyon Cutter. And this thing clicks Future Sight. Immediately, after turn 1 calcs, this thing's Assault Vest. Not a lot of special defense investment, but Assault Vest nonetheless. I click Psychic Noise to stop it from healing with Regenerator if I click Chilly Reception, just in case. Just in case it was specially defense invested, because it could have been SPDF invested and taken that little. So I click Psychic Noise just to stop it from switching out with Regen. But that Flamethrower confirms that it has at least a little bit of special attack invest, and it's a turn 1 burn, which is annoying. I don't think it mattered too much, but it's annoying. I click Psyshock, that does 33%. This is clearly more. So no FizzDef, or very little FizzDef at that. But this Iron Crown is pretty low. 17%. An extra 12% from the burn is not fun. I click Psychic Noise as the Slowking's going to switch out into the Rotom. So at this point, end of this turn, I'm at 11%. I've taken 3 chips of burn. If it wasn't for the burn, I'd be at 25. Or not 25, I'd be at 29. Why did I bring that up? Well, because I don't really know the Rotom set. The Psychic Noise damage leads me to believe that it is bulk invested in some regard. How much, though, I don't know. And just knowing it's bulk invested isn't enough, because the main question is the thing Choice Scarf, and does it kill Assault Vest Iron Crown with Volt Switch? Because this thing isn't just Assault Vest, it is extremely specially defensive. It is 252 special defense, I think 56 HP with Assault Vest. It's very bulky. So I stay in and I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll live a Volt Switch. Maybe it'll be fine. Volt Switch takes me out. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have without the burn. So already 5 turns in. Iron Crown is dead, and I didn't really accomplish that much with it. But keeping Slowking low is important, and you'll see why later. Here comes the Cyclozar. I go to Rotom Heat, because that's my best neutral answer into it. Ends up clicking U-turn. I see that it's offensive, but not banded. And I click the Nasty Plots. I go for the Discharge. Does 38% of Slowking. Gets the Para, which the Para didn't end up mattering that much. And Sludge Bomb comes out. Does a fair chunk of damage. I just click another Discharge here. 17% on the Rotom. So, what's nice is I keep the Slowking low, which means that it can't really switch in much throughout the game, because it's threatened by most of these things. Quagsire ends up being a special attacker with Earth Power, but Vortex doesn't know that. He thinks it's just physical. And all these 3 threaten Slowking really hard. So Slowking is kind of moot at this point. So here comes Rotom Heat versus Rotom Heat versus Rotom-Mow. Rotom-Mow can't really touch Rotom Heat. And I take advantage of that because I expect this thing to switch out. So rather than clicking Overheat, I go for Pain Splits. And now my Rotom is super duper healthy. 81%. Super nice. Could have gone for the Overheat, but this thing is unaware. This thing is designed to deal with this Rotom Heat. And I don't want that to be annoying. So I click Discharge, praying for the Para. I don't get it, unfortunately. Click it again, trying again. Still don't get it. There's the Torch Song. And that's my cue to be like, okay, this thing's a threat. I'm going to Quag. So it slacks off again. I go for a Spike. Hindsight is 2020. And I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty critical with this game because I did make a fair amount of bad plays. This was bad prep. Well, not really bad prep, but unfortunate prep. I wish I was Stealth Rock over Spikes for sure. Because with hindsight, Stealth Rock is better here. But I expected Cobalion to be here. I expected this thing to be Boots. I expected this thing to be Boots. I expected this thing to be Boots. And in those 3 scenarios, Spikes just does better versus the majority of the team. So I had to pick one. I picked Spikes. I'm not Stealth Rock. And that ends up being pretty annoying throughout the game, as you're going to see. But whatever. I'm forced to switch out. I bring in Annihilate because I'm saying, Rotom, please click Willow, or please click Leaf Storm. You know you want to click Leaf Storm in front of this delicious Quagsire. You know you want to. I've brought in Rotom Heat before. You don't want to let it come in for free again, because Rotom Heat is very threatening into your team. Please click Leaf Storm. You know you want to boost my Rage Fist so bad. Clicks Will-O-Wisp. At this point, I was pissed. I was like, shit, I might have just lost the game off that. Because Scarf Annihilate is very important in this game. Very, very important. It's my only way to outspeed Weavile. It's my only way to outspeed Cyclozar. And it hits this team super hard, but not anymore because it's burned. Oh well. Keep playing. That was a great read from Vortex, by the way. Great play. I don't know if he was reading that specifically. I would imagine he was. Phenomenal play. I go for the U-turn, bring in my Ogerpon, because I'm like, Ogerpon could beat this thing. Even if it's dual Wing Beat max attack, I live it. Whatever. I bring in Ogerpon. And this is another example of like, here. I go for U-turn, bring in Ogerpon. This is another example where like, I could go for Cudgel, get big damage, but if it's Fist F, it doesn't even kill. So I might as well just go for Knockoff. Because Knockoff into Cudgel is going to kill. And I don't think Gliscor wants to stay in, because Gliscor is still pretty solid. It's a good answer to Annihilate, but still looks good into this team. It's a lot of these Pokemon are super effective. And it's just solid overall for getting up hazards. And Skeletor's is good at keeping them here. So I click Knockoff. And that ends up working out huge, because I get rid of the Rotom's Choice Scarf. And I'm able to kill it with Ivy Cudgel. So big ups to Ogerpon getting the first kill in the game. For me. I bring in Annihilate on what I thought was U-turn, so I power up my Rage Fist a little bit. And the fact that this Annihilate was at 83% is incredibly important. Incredibly important. I can't even overstate how much. I hard switch into Rotom Heat because I do not want to play around Protect or whatever. I just go Rotom Heat. Done with the bullshit. Rocks go up. I go for the Pain Splits just to get some more health on the board, and I get hit with Toxic, which is not fun. Poison Needle is going to come out. I just go for the Overheat, and it says it spikes, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta get rid of these hazards. So at this point, I'm not liking this game state. There's rocks on my side, there's 2 spikes on my side, which is nice. I mean, it's fine because I have 2 boots. I have 3 boots. All these guys are heavy duty boots. But Ogerpon isn't, and Ogerpon's an important part of this match. And Annihilate isn't, and Annihilate could still be important in this match. And I don't want to get too chipped. So I'm like, I gotta get rid of these hazards. And I know Vortex knows that I need to get rid of these hazards. So here's where I actually make a bit of a play. It's not super high risk, but it's risky regardless. I click Earthquake expecting Skeletors to come in. And I see it is Shukaberry Skeletors. I also Terra Water because, of course, I'm going to be Terra Water versus this team. Are you kidding me? Why would I not be Terra Water? Look at this matchup. Give me a good reason to be Terra Fairy. To lose to this thing? No, I'm good. To lose to this guy? No, I'm okay. I'll be Terra Water, and I'll be fine with that. I need to resist this bitch's triple axle. This bitch is annoying. Anyway. Earthquake with Shukaberry does 19% with the rock or with the spike, just a bit extra. I go hard at the Quag because again, I'm special Quag. Was my answer to this thing with Unaware. Unfortunately, didn't do my calcs quite right because it's not a great answer with Hex doing 49%. I think that was a higher roll, which is very annoying. I go for Recover to try and stall as it goes for the Slack off to stall. Hex this time gets a crit, which is even more annoying, and Earth Power does 51%. So at this point, I resign my Quagsire. I think I click Recover again just in case the Slack off again. But I resigned my Quagsire. I was like, you can have it. I bring in my Ogerpon to get the kill, and it does exactly that. So 29 turns in, 4 up either side. Very scary game. I have hazards on my side. I want to get rid of them, but luckily the spin blocker is gone. So I can click Rabbit Spin whenever I want. So Skeletor's being gone is kind of huge, especially that it's not boots. Because it was going to die no matter what, because it was at 16%. It was going to be at 4 after the spike. It was going to die. Notably though, Iron Crown is gone, which is my main Gloking answer. And Gloking is still a pretty big offensive threat. And Quagsire is gone, which, I mean, it's an answer to Gloking. It's an answer to Gliscor. It's an answer to Cyclozar. So, Quag being gone is not great. This is a very awkward spot. I have to play really well from here on out, and I knew that. Here comes the Cyclozar. I know it's clicking U-turn. I go to Rotom Heats. I'm like, I can take it. It's fine. Nothing's going to kill me. And then I see Weavile take spikes. And I'm like, fuck, this thing's Choice Banded. As soon as I saw it take spike, I'm like, this thing is Choice Banded. But I can't do anything. I have to sack. I have to sack this thing. I have to. I pray that it's not, but it is. I click Overheat just in case. It kills me. But now, that lets me go into Avalugg safely. Because I know I can deal with this thing. I go for the Rapid Spin. Finally get rid of these stupid hazards. Damn, the 07s for the fucking Rotom. I hit the Toxic, but Ice Spinner kills the Gliscor. Gloking comes in, but with my attack investment, Earthquake is enough to get the kill. So all of a sudden, bit of an awkward spot, I have the Pokemon advantage. In theory, Avalugg should win this, because these two are physical attackers. These have been shown to be physical attackers throughout this game. But Avalugg is toxic, and here, I make probably my worst misplay of the game. Because this Cyclozar is 3 Terra types. Normal, Steel, or Fairy. If it's Normal or Fairy, Ice Spinner is the right play. But if it's Terra Steel, that's risky. And I wasn't sure which Terra type it was, because it hadn't really given me any reason to, until it clicks Terra Blast, and that tells me it's Terra Fairy. But I wasn't quite sure. That uncertainty was pretty bad in hindsight. Duh, it was going to be Terra Fairy. I have too many fucking fighting types on this team, and too many dark types for this thing to not be Terra Fairy. I'm stupid for that. But I don't see it coming. I don't click Ice Spinner. I click Earthquake. Ice Spinner would have destroyed this thing. But alas, we're still playing. Terra Blast comes out, it kills me. So now, the board is weird. I bring in my Ogre Pawn. So, this is a weird spot for a lot of reasons. First of all, I have to decide what Vortex is going to do. I see 3 realistic plays. Either U-turn into Weavile, stay in, don't Terra, click like Double Edge or something, or stay in and Terra. 2 of those 3 plays, Superpower is the right option. Technically, 2 of those 3 plays, Ivy Cudgel is the right option. But Ivy Cudgel is the wrong option if this thing stays and doesn't Terra because it doesn't kill. And Ivy Cudgel and Superpower is the wrong option if this thing stays in Terra Fairies because it doesn't kill. So I just have to hope that whatever move I click works out. And that's what this thing just clicks U-turn, goes into Weavile, and I click Ivy Cudgel, so it works out. Because Ivy Cudgel smacks the Weavile. 3 kills for Ogre Pawn. Now, Cyclozar comes back in at 82%. And I still don't know when this thing is going to pop Terra. Because at this point, I've resigned that Ogre Pawn is going to die. Duh, why would I switch an Annihilate? I have to rely on Annihilate here in the endgame. So I'm thinking, I know this thing is Terra Fairy. It would not run Terra Lost unless it's Terra Fairy. Is this thing going to click Terra Fairy, in which case I Rage Fist, or is it going to not Terra, in which case I click Close Combat? Because Close Combat kills from this range even while burned, I'm pretty sure. And Rage Fist is the 2 shots. Luckily, Vortex makes that decision very easy for me and clicks Terra. Knocks out my Ogre Pawn. So at this point, the route is clear. I only have 1 play. I click Rage Fist, I pray to God that I live Terra Blast, and I pray to God that 2 Rage Fists kill the Cyclozar. I click Rage Fist, 41%. Vortex Terra Blast, 70%. 7% of burn. And on 6% burned, 1 turn away from death, 1 tick of Stealth Rock away from death, 1 tick of sand, the tiniest chip, 1 more U-turn from death, 1 bad roll on U-turn plus Terra Blast away from death. Annihilate outspeeds, clicks Rage Fist, and declares us the SPL Squirtle Premier League Season 1 champions. Oh my god, in this moment, I was so excited. I popped off harder than I ever popped off in my life. Close to it. It was I was so happy. Because I'd worked so hard all season. I was so stressed in the playoffs. The playoffs games were super close. Mark and Vortex played your fucking hearts out. Even if it wasn't the high skilled league, my god, you guys played amazing. Pushed me to the limit. Penguin, your team was broken. It was a nightmare to prep against in the best way possible. But even with that, with all the trials and tribulations, with this, admittedly, kind of bad team, the team without an X Factor, in Gen 9, the Gen of the X Factors, I win a draft league for the first time in 3 years, and I was elated. I was so happy. Because it was really down to the wire. It was exactly everything I could have asked for in a finals game. Vortex played that amazingly. I played that pretty well. We both prepped really interesting stuff that the other one wasn't expecting. And I mean, it sucks for Vortex. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it doesn't. Because he was undefeated the whole season. He won 10 games straight. And in the finals, this random asshole shows up and beats him just barely. That sucks. That's tough. And I mean, it sucks for Vortex doubly because he doesn't have a championship to his name. I already have 2. This is my 3rd. But that's how the cookie crumbles. But regardless, I'm much happier with this ending for sure. As I have won a Gen 9 Pollux draft league. First time I won a regional Dex draft league since the Dexit. I've been playing for 4.5 years. And it feels really good. I'm super happy with how I played this season. I'm super happy with my team. Shout out again to my front office for being just amazing. All my friends, super duper supportive. And shout outs, of course, to Drago for running this league, doing a great job. For as far as I understand, he's not that experienced with it, but he did fucking amazing. Really consistent with the doc updates and all that stuff, and really vigilant with everything. Just phenomenal league runner. And SPL Season 2 is already underway, but I have full confidence you'll do that amazing as well. With that being said, that is the story of how I became the champion of the Squirtle Premier League. My full run through the season, full run through playoffs. My final game tally was 9 wins, 2 losses. Don't know the differential. I think I was plus 23 at the end of the regular season, so plus 2, plus 1, plus 5. So I think that puts me at plus 31 if you were to include playoffs. I guess final thoughts on the teams that I had throughout the season. I'll start with the regular team, just by saying, first and foremost, I am never, ever drafting this or this, either of these 2 pieces of shits again. Raging Bolt, Enamorus, and a Grass Ghost type will never, ever again be on a draft roster of mine. Never. Those Pokemon are trash. They're not trash. I just don't like using them. They don't fit how I want to play the game. They're good Pokemon, but I did not have any joy using them. And that sucks. Talonflame also was kind of underwhelming. As for this team was weird because it didn't have like an X factor, like I said. Like on paper, you think it's Annihilate, Rage Fist, a broken move, bulk up, all that stuff. I used it versus Fahadd in week 7, but that was really the only time it popped off, other than Rage Fist coming in clutch in finals. The real star of this team, Ogerpon Wellspring, phenomenal Pokemon, was my kill leader. King Gambit was also a pretty good Pokemon. Before the transactions, definitely miss it. But I think by the end of the season, Ogerpon, Iron Crown, Pheasantipity, Avalugg, and Rotom Heat all really cemented themselves as really strong Pokemon. Especially, like, I hear a lot of shit about Iron Crown and Pheasantipity. I had a great time using them. I think they're really fun Pokemon. More versatile than you give them credit for, I feel like. But yeah, I think they're super fun. I would wholeheartedly recommend them. Out of this roster, I mean, Fortress, Iron Dragolas and Rubombi kind of disappointed me, to be honest. But at the end of the day, I drafted the best team I could with what was available to me. And it worked out well enough to get me the W. So I really can't complain. Shout out to the GOAT Ogerpon Wellspring. Just put the team on his back. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll leave you on the frame. That won me the game. By the way, 22 HP left. 6%. Just wild. I still can't believe how close it was. Oh, man. I love this game. I love this game so much. That being said, thank you all for watching. Houston Dracos finally have a dub under our belts. 2 leagues down. Already got 1 dub under our belts. Hopefully many more to come. And I'll see you guys in my next draft league endeavor whenever I upload that to YouTube. But thanks for watching if you made it this far. Peace.